Caseus. The Inner Storm. Chapter 2. They followed Dravok for a while before he leapt to lightspeed. Juro put his hand on the switch before turning to Caseus.
We have the coordinates. There's still time to back out. Are you sure about this?
Caseus stared out into space. I'm sure. Juro nodded uneasily before throwing the switch and sending them into hyperspace.
Where do you suppose he's taking us?
I'm not sure. Putting the coordinates into the map leads us to the middle of nowhere.
I don't like this, sir. It feels like a trap.
I don't think so. Caseus closed his eyes. There's something out there. Faint, but it's...
What is it, sir?
It's like an echo through the Force. There's definitely something out there.
I don't think I'll ever get used to this Jedi stuff.
It's not just the Jedi, Juro. The Force resides in every living being. Life creates it, nourishes it. Whether you understand it or not, the Force lives in you too.
So you're saying maybe someday I can do all those fancy tricks?
Caseus smiled softly. I don't know. Most of the Jedi begin their training before they can even walk. But it takes a power to control it. To use it. A power not everyone has. Even if you don't have that gift, you can feel it. Close your eyes. Juro hesitated briefly before shutting his eyes. Clear your mind. Forget the sounds of the ship. Forget my voice. And listen. Really listen. Feel. Juro sighed deeply and felt something. Nothing that felt strange, but a very slight warmth. You feel it.
I don't know. I'll feel something.
That feeling, Juro. Hold on to it. Don't let it go. Even when darkness falls, it's there. Inside you. Inside me. Inside everyone. Juro opened his eyes.
Maybe. By the way, I found something back on Tanab. I figured it might be useful. Come with me.
Caseus followed Juro to the back as he opened up his bag of goods and provisions and pulled out a battered old cybernetic droid arm.
I figured with enough pieces and equipment, I might be able to craft you a suitable replacement for the arm you lost.
Caseus looked down at the arm and back to his stump. Thank you, Juro. You're right. If I'm going to confront Skywalker, I'll need full use of my body. Juro nodded and put the arm away as the shuttle's navigation system began to beep.
We're here. Wherever here is.
Juro took the ship out of hyperspace as they found themselves approaching a desert planet.
What is this place?
I don't know. A call came through on their ship's comm system. Patch it through. Juro pressed the comm switch as Dravok's voice spoke up.
Welcome to your new home, Blengeel. I've already made my approach. Land on the exact coordinates I give you. Do not land on the sand.
Caseus looked at Juro worryingly as they made their approach. The swirling sands made it difficult to see at first, but soon they approached the coordinates given. What Caseus saw was beyond belief. A graveyard of hundreds of ships littering the sands. And at the center, half buried beneath the desert, That's a Jedi Praxium cruiser.
A what?
A mobile Jedi Academy. From the days of the Old Republic thousands of years ago.
I've never heard of it.
When the Order set up permanent residence on Coruscant, these ships were phased out. Only a few were ever made. How did this one end up here?
I suppose we'll find out once we land.
Their shuttle moved forward and landed on the exterior of the ancient cruiser. Upon setting down, they were greeted by Dravok.
Welcome to Blengiu, the most barren, inhospitable dust ball this side of the galaxy.
Caseus looked around in awe. How did you find this place? It didn't show up on our maps.
This planet is uncharted, completely desolate. Any ships that have tried to land here to scout it have found themselves devoured.
Devoured? Dravok walked over to the edge and kicked a rusted piece of metal from the hole, where it landed with a loud thud in the sands below. Suddenly, there was a low rumble. Caseus could feel the vibrations as a deafening roar was heard. From the sands below, an enormous worm-like creature emerged from the dunes and devoured the metal scrap before burrowing back into the dirt.
What in the hell was that? Sand burrowers. They detect vibrations from the surface and attack. So, just be sure to stay off the sand.
Caseus looked to Dravok. So, we're here. What's your plan? How do we kill him? Dravok smirked.
Patience, boy. All will be revealed in due time. In the meantime, feel free to roam about the ship. Just try not to get lost. I haven't explored this place entirely. There could be any manner of creatures crawling about.
Caseus narrowed his eyes and scoffed as Dravok went inside. Juro was still staring at the sands below. Relax. We're safe up here.
There's a lot of words I would use to describe our current situation. Safe is not one of them.
Caseus rummaged through his supplies and retrieved his lightsaber. Come on. If Bantha Breath won't tell us anything until later, I might as well see if I can find a workbench to fix up my saber. Caseus and Juro stepped down into the dark, unlit corridors of the ship. It was enormous. As damaged and decayed as it was, Caseus could make out ornate decorations and trappings lining the halls. Man, if Master Takai could see this. They continued walking and exploring. There was so much history to this ship, all lost to time in the harsh sands of the planet.
You, don't think we'll find any bodies, do you?
I doubt it. Any bodies left during the crash most likely decayed hundreds of years ago. Still, be on your guard.
You don't have to tell me twice, sir.
After roaming for what felt like hours, they came across the engineering station. Broken starships and pieces of hardware lay all over the place. In the corner of the room, Caseus saw several tables set up for small repairs and tinkering. This should do. Caseus sat at the bench, dusting off the surface, and closed his eyes, concentrating as his lightsaber slowly floated into the air and began to disassemble, the glowing green kyber crystal floating in front of him. Caseus examined it carefully. The crystal wasn't damaged, thankfully. The other mechanisms of the weapon would require a bit of work. Juro, hand me your microfusion cutter, and hold this steady for me. Juro handed Caseus the tools from his belt, and carefully held the parts of his saber in place. Carefully, Caseus began to cut through a small dented piece of metal that was now interfering with the focusing lens.
You're lucky you didn't lose your good arm.
Caseus stared at Juro with an unamused expression.
Sorry. Just trying to lighten the tension.
Caseus used a multitude of small picks, pins, and tools to carefully realign the more delicate pieces of the saber's interiors before running a test on each individual part. Then, he carefully floated the crystal back into its chamber, aligning it perfectly. The repaired weapon carefully floated down into his hand. Okay, let's hope I did it right. Caseus switched the blade on, which sprang to life with a snap hiss. It worked. It may need some balance adjustments, but it worked. Good. That's settled. Let's head upstairs and find Dravok.
Do we have to?
You want to spend any more time down here in the dark? Juro sighed and followed Caseus back up to the exterior of the craft. The suns had almost completely set as Dravok sat by a small fire cooking something. Stepping closer, they could see Dravok was roasting 3 large beetle-like insects.
Just in time for dinner.
Juro looked in disgust at the bugs.
I think I'm fine. I'm going into the ship to get some sleep. About that, your ship is going to need to be stripped of any tracking devices, or anything that can be used to trace your whereabouts. The last thing we need is the Empire showing up.
Juro nodded and went inside, leaving Caseus staring at the fire.
Sit down. We need to talk.
Caseus hesitated before slowly taking a seat. You gonna tell me the plan yet?
Yes. Just remember, even if we succeed, the Empire will be after us forever. Your life moving forward will make your current position feel like a walk through the temple gardens. Are you willing to accept that?
Caseus looked down and back up. Yes. Skywalker needs to pay.
No matter what. Good. Here's my thinking. Skywalker is good. But if we can find some way to separate him from his security and bodyguards, he would be no match for us. After you've trained up a bit, of course.
I don't need training from you, Dravok. I fought Skywalker already.
And look how that turned out. Face it. If you were to fight him again, you would be killed. But with my guidance and proper training, without the ways of the Jedi tying you down, we may stand a chance.
So your plan is to just go after him and try to get him when he's alone?
Not exactly. The plan is still very much in early development. But I feel that with the right team behind us, we could pull this whole thing off and live to see another day. A team, assassins, lowlifes, saboteurs, the best we can find. But that will have to wait. For now, eat.
Dravok handed Caseus one of the cooked bugs.
I'm not hungry. Remember, boy, you must be grateful for any sustenance provided to you. You might have had the luxury of being a picky eater at the temple, but this is the real world. Take what you can get and survive.
Caseus slowly took the bug.
Believe me, it doesn't taste as bad as it looks.
With a look of disgust, Caseus bit into the insect, its juices spraying throughout his mouth. He nearly vomited.
Well, I didn't say it was good either.
Looking closely at Caseus, he saw that Master Takai's cloak was draped over him.
Kukuri. She gave you that, didn't she?
Caseus looked at the cloak and nodded.
I assume she told you about our past?
Caseus glared. Yes, she told me everything. And even after everything you two went through together, you betrayed her. Well, she's gone. Are you happy? Dravok looked into the fire.
I never wanted to hurt her. Even after I chose my path. I tried to keep her out of it.
You know she never would have allowed you to do what you did unchallenged. Dravok smiled.
Her persistence. Probably my favorite thing about her. She never gave up on anything. Except for me.
Caseus looked at the man he had been trying to catch for years. Did you ever really care for her? Like she cared for you?
I did. A long time ago. Even now. If I could have saved her from what happened, I would have. I suppose I'll have to settle with her brat.
Caseus glared. I don't know what she ever saw in a monster like you. Dravok closed his eyes and stood.
I don't either. Eat. Then get some sleep. We start your training at first light. Apprentice.
Caseus fumed, but held his tongue, finishing his revolting dinner before going into the shuttle to sleep.